For years, the gamepad has defined the way we play. It serves as a link between us and the game, a portal to another world. And like the consoles they're for, game controllers have evolved massively over the years. From the plain to the innovative, the sleek to the ugly, the awesome to the downright stupid, there's no denying the importance of the game controller. I'm Dr. Cactus, and today I present to you a video game history lesson on the game controller. The gamepad as we know it all began in 1983, with the release of Nintendo's Famicom, or, as it's known outside of Japan, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Before the Famicom gamepad came along, games were played with primitive devices like joysticks. Joystick's fine for playing an arcade game like Pac-Man, but can be clunky and unresponsive for more complex games. And that's where one of the most significant inventions in gaming history comes in, the D-pad. Conjured up by the late Gunpei Yokoi, the D-pad provides quick, accurate response, whilst remaining comfortable for long periods of play. A simple invention, but one that revolutionised the way we play. Can you imagine what gaming would be like without the D-pad? Like if we had to control games with something like this? Not much fun, that's what. As well as the D-pad, the Famicom controller also comes with two action buttons, A and B, and two option buttons, Start and Select. Two of the lovable red bricks were hardwired to every console, and strangely, Player 2's controller had a microphone in place of Start and Select buttons. After huge commercial success in Japan and saving the video game industry from certain death, the Famicom was released to the Western world as the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's 9 syllables, 9 bloody syllables. Hence why most refer to the console as the NES, a much preferable 3-syllable variant of the name. The controller too underwent a slight redesign, retaining the ergonomic oblong design, but getting a brand new colour scheme, the iconic black and grey stripes we know and love. And no microphone this time around. A number of interesting peripherals were also released for the NES during its lifetime. Most notably the iconic, but not very functional R.O.B, the video robot, the Power Glove, a motion sensing glove thing that looked cool and worked not, and the Zapper, a light gun that zapped things. None of these peripherals worked very well, but they still make for some interesting collector's items. And besides, now you're playing with power. In 1985, Japanese video game company Sega released their first major competitor to the NES, the imaginatively named Mark III, later released in the West as the Sega Master System. The Master System's controller was basically the NES controller, in a different colour, with slightly less buttons and a slightly uglier design. And the final notable controller of the third generation is the Atari 7800 gamepad. Look at it. Look at it! Then came the fourth generation. Nintendo followed up the highly successful Nintendo Entertainment System with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, increasing the syllable count from 9 to 11, because more syllables means more fun. Called the SNES for short, or the SNES for short, Nintendo's new console came with a new controller too. The SNES gamepad was a significant step forwards from the NES gamepad. It was redesigned with a much more ergonomic dog bone shape, sported a more comfortable D-pad and had 4 new buttons, X and Y, 2 action buttons situated above the usual A and B buttons, and a new class of buttons altogether, shoulder buttons. Another revolutionary innovation from Nintendo, the shoulder buttons went on the, well, shoulders of the controller. Interestingly, the SNES controller came in different colours in different regions. The Japanese and PAL region variant of the controller had multicoloured face buttons. For the American variant, Nintendo decided to recolour the buttons to purple and lavender, because we all know Americans love purple. The introduction of the 4 extra buttons was likely due to the popularity of games like Street Fighter, which required more buttons to play. Hadouken! I personally really like the SNES controller. The look, the feel, the iconic design, and it's probably my favourite controller to date. Sega! Released their new console too, the Mega Drive, or Genesis as it was known in the US. Why do they have to have a different name? Why do they have to have purple SNES controllers? Sheesh. Anyhow, the Mega Drive also sported a much improved controller, with an ergonomic design, a sleek black finish, and a couple of new buttons. It was certainly a major step forwards from the Master System's rectangular reject. It didn't, however, have as many face buttons as the SNES controller, or any shoulder buttons. The D-pad was slightly improved to be more accurate, and the controller finally got a start button. It's worth remembering that at this time, Nintendo and Sega were engaged in a fierce rivalry, dubbed the Console Wars. So anything Nintendo did good, Sega tried to do better, and vice versa. This led to Sega adding some more buttons to the Mega Drive controller later in its lifespan. 3 extra face buttons to go above the existing 3, for games like Street Fighter. Hadouken! The 4th generation also had its fair share of interesting peripherals. Some highlights include the SNES mouse, shipped with copies of the infamous Mario Paint, and the Super Scope, which was a gun peripheral for the SNES, and now an item in the Super Smash Bros. Series. But it wasn't just Nintendo releasing crazy peripherals. Oh no. In fact, my personal favourite 4th generation peripheral is the Sega Activator, an octagonal flooring based on the light harp instrument. Seriously, this is an actual thing. To use it, you had to lay it on the floor and move your arms and feet in the direction you wanted to move in. However, it was incredibly inaccurate, and the signal could easily be disrupted by things like having a dome-shaped ceiling, or a fan being on nearby. And guess what? No one bought it.